of the conflict. For that, we need cooperation of President Saddam Hussein.
Moscow has at times been sending mixed signals. This is the kind of comment that you just heard that U.S. officials love to hear out of the Soviets. I'm Jeannie Moos reporting live from the United Nations.
You heard the Soviet ambassador mention the special mission of Yevgeny Premykov, the special envoy for Soviet leader Gorbachev. He said today he sees a glimmer of hope for a ceasefire in the Gulf War. Premykov is back in Moscow after his talks in Baghdad with Saddam Hussein. Premykov would not elaborate on the talks, but he did say negotiations would continue. Iraqi Foreign Minister Tariq Aziz is scheduled to go to Moscow to meet with Mikhail Gorbachev on Monday.
One Scud at a time. That's how Iraq has launched its latest missile attacks on Israel. CNN's Linda Scherzer looks at some of the theories about why single Scuds are being lobbed at the Jewish state.
January 17th, Iraq launched its first barrage of Scud missiles at Israel. By week's end, a total of 14 Scuds had been fired in 4 separate attacks, an average of more than 3 a night. But by week number 3, the number of missiles being fired had diminished to just 1 in each separate launch. Analysts here believe that Iraq's ability to fire at Israel has been hurt, and that Saddam Hussein is trying to save whatever missile launchers he has left.
It's difficult to launch more than 1 or 2 missiles and take the launchers back and be able to use them again. That the more launchers he puts out there, the more likely it is they're going to be spotted and destroyed.
The U.S. says that Allied bombers have destroyed most of the fixed launchers and many of the mobile launchers that were poised towards Israel in western Iraq. The threat of missile attacks hasn't been erased.
We believe there's a combination of reasons why his capability has diminished, including the fact that the United States has concentrated air power over the region and has limited his capability of firing at Israel.
But if there are launchers still operational, why fire just 1 missile per attack? The answer, say analysts, may be psychological warfare. 1 missile is as effective a tool of terror as 10 missiles. Iraq is keeping up a steady, if limited, offensive, sending people to their sealed rooms every other night, or, as one general put it, slowly driving us mad.
Get people nervous, increase the pressure on the government, and the longer he can show to the Arabs that he keeps Israel busy, the better for everybody, from his viewpoint.
The more people's lives are disrupted, the more pressure may be brought to bear on the country's decision makers to act in self-defense, to retaliate, to get Israel into the war. Analysts say that the other reason why Iraq may be launching only 1 missile at a time may be to conserve its missiles for later in the war. Saddam Hussein may want to save what he's got, including possible chemical weapons, for the moment when he has little to lose by firing them. Linda Scherzer, CNN, Jerusalem.
Still ahead, a live report from Fort Sill, Oklahoma, on new ways to track military targets.
Now's the time for Centrum Silver, the multivitamin made just for you and your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver, because you're over 50 and you're out there swinging. Centrum Silver, the first complete vitamin formula that keeps up with the changes in you and your nutritional requirements. Centrum Silver, now's the time you need it, because right now, it's a great time to be silver.
This is what healthy gums look like. Your bleeding gums look like this.
But they only bleed occasionally.
It's a bacterial infection. Untreated, it could spread deeper.
Oh, no.
Don't worry. We can stop bleeding gums. First, we'll clean your teeth. Then, at home, as part of daily home care, I can give you medicine.
My gums stop bleeding.
Ask your dentist about the home care treatment for bleeding gums. Oral Health Pharmaceuticals from Procter & Gamble.
You're looking at the heart of one of today's most advanced communications devices. It has gold microcircuits for long life and durability, like the electronics used in satellites. It shapes and clarifies sound in the same way as sophisticated recording equipment. The entire system is no bigger than your fingertip. But if you have trouble hearing, it may dramatically alter and improve your life. This is the advanced technology of today's Miracle Ear. But perhaps the most impressive thing about Miracle Ear is that something this small can bring so much enjoyment back into your life. Discover for yourself. If you or someone you know has a hearing problem, call now to learn how Miracle Ear's advanced technology may help you hear better. Get the facts in this free booklet. Call this number now. The call and the information are free. There's no obligation. Miracle Ear. Call now to hear more.
Mail from home. A lot of U.S. troops in the Gulf region say it's the one thing that keeps them going. But the people who handle the mail say it's tough going for them. CNN's Brian Jenkins picks up the story.
When the first U.S. troops flew into Saudi Arabia last summer, members of the 1241st Postal Company of Montgomery, Alabama weren't far behind. They promptly started putting in 14-hour shifts as the company labored round the clock to sort their precious cargo.
I think it's an important job, but it is tiresome sometimes.
It's especially tiresome for these soldiers to hear so often about complaints over long delays in the delivery of some Army mail. The main problem, they point out, is that so many Army units change commands and locations so often.
When they move, they have to come to the APO and tell us where they're moving to. We have to change the number and send it back up there. It's a process of how long it takes for them to get the mail up there, and plus they have to sort and go through their units to get it.
This Army post office has enough trouble keeping track of the supply units it serves. The company commander knows those APOs serving frontline units have a much tougher delivery job.
One of the most important things is getting ammunition and food supplies up to the troops on the front line. And when you look in terms of that, mail becomes a second issue.
It's a weighty issue, with nearly 500,000 pounds of U.S. military mail pouring into the Middle East every day. The 140 members of the 1241st alone are handling some 20,000 pounds of letters and packages a day, but that's down from the daily deluge at Christmas time of 100,000 pounds. The crush was compounded by a number of elements out of the company's control.
The wind, the sand blowing, the rain, and plus I had the forklifts breaking down.
The bugs have now been worked out. The average delivery time is down to 2 weeks, and the unexpected surge in Valentine mail hasn't hit this operation. All in all, Pete Scarfaro is glad he left his post as a civilian sheet metal worker to help sort letters with the 1241st.
One plus about working here, you get your mail direct, so I got one from Mom.
And Pete's mom, thanks to satellite communications, now has early confirmation her letter got through. Brian Jenkins, CNN in eastern Saudi Arabia.
For the past couple of days, CNN's Mike Capps has been with the U.S. Army's Field Artillery School at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. That's where Mike is this evening. He joins us now live. Mike.
Well, good afternoon, Lou. All field artillery soldiers currently deployed in the Persian Gulf region trained here at Fort Sill, Oklahoma at the U.S. Army's Field Artillery School. So as you might imagine, there is great emphasis here on weaponry, on its use, and just how good it is in weaponry of the future. Soldiers at the Army's Field Artillery School currently train on 5 different pieces of equipment, 2 types of self-propelled cannons or howitzers, 2 types of towed howitzers, and the multiple launch rocket system or MLRS. The self-propelled howitzers fire 95 200-pound projectiles at a rapid rate up to 4 rounds per minute for the first 3 minutes of operation. But how accurate are those weapons? How good are they? How do they compare to the enemy in the Persian Gulf? With me is Colonel Edward Anderson III, the Director of Combat Development here at the Field Artillery School. How good are we compared to the Iraqis? I know you don't like to make that comparison, but try if you might.
Well, Mike, if I could give you a candid, unbiased answer, it would be we think we have the best artillery in the world. And that's for several reasons, not just because of the weapon systems, the MLRS and the cannon systems, but because of the system of systems that compose the fire support system. We have what we think is the best firefinder counter-battery radar in the world. We have a support and sustainment system, and we have a command and control system that ties it all together. All of that, along with the best soldiers in the world, give us the best fire support system.
There's, the Iraqis like to talk about how far they can fire, but there's great emphasis here on accuracy. How accurate are these weapons?
Well, they're very, very accurate. As much as we like to say that we can fire right there in the trenches with the soldiers. In fact, we can do that if that's what's necessary, almost. But the precision is very important to us because we, on a dynamic battlefield, we have got to be able to kill that target as quickly as possible before he can take action either against us or in response to us. So we emphasize accuracy and precision very much.
We've got less than a minute, but behind us is the new weaponry, the M109A6, which is not online yet. What differentiates it? What makes it so good?
Well, that's the Paladin howitzer, and what makes it so good is that it's never out of action. It has the capability to shoot farther than the system that we have in the field right now, and it has the ability to do everything that you need to have it do on the battlefield.
We also need to say that this howitzer is not in battle and won't be for the Persian Gulf, but it is the future. Mike Capps, CNN, reporting live from Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Thank you, Mike. We have some more letters from our viewers about our coverage. Our first letter from Wise, Virginia. Could you imagine the fear and dismay of U.S. citizens if our troops began raping, pillaging, and burning Iraqis, gassing citizens of Miami during riots, launching Scud missiles onto civilian targets in Cuba without being provoked, executing the U.S. National Guard deserters, and President Bush personally executing members of the Joint Chiefs of Staff? We need to draw this comparison before reacting too quickly to Iraq's sympathetic plea.
From Tokyo, Japan, the images of the oil-soaked wildlife, his pathetic soldiers, military installations, and civilian areas simply reflect his callous disregard for human life and the ecology of the environment. These images, typical of Saddam Hussein's political and defense strategies, only validate the Allied war efforts.
From British Columbia, Mr. Gorbachev's new peace initiative, as well as the French one, is meant to salvage the debts Iraq owes the Soviet Union and the French for arms, technology, and advisors that still remain there in substantial numbers. If Saddam Hussein is taken out, who's going to pay the Russians and the French prostitutes for the services?
From Stone Mountain, Georgia, if we are right to carry out the largest massive bombings in history, then the government should have nothing to fear from open coverage. Censorship of the war implies we are being misled by our government, that if we really saw what is happening, not just a computerized image of surgical strikes, we would not support this war.
You can mail us your thoughts at Box 740166, Atlanta, Georgia, 30374, 0166. Still to come, we'll take a look at the financial markets.
And we'll hear some opposing views on the bombing of Baghdad.
If you've been to Crestwood Optical on Sudley Road, you know about our quality work and the greatest variety and selection in the metro area. Our goal is for you to leave our business with the best looking and fitting glasses you've ever had. We inform you which frames will fit your personality and lifestyle. We love it when customers come in saying, I saw the most beautiful pair of glasses on a lady at the checkout, and she told me she bought them at Crestwood Optical. We care so that you'll always come back for your eyeglass needs.
Piedmont is people with your best interests at heart.
You know us, we live here.
Piedmont Federal Savings Bank. You know us, we live here.
When we say service, we mean functional. When we say quality, we mean functional. When we say value, we mean functional. When we say convenience, we mean functional. When we say furniture, we mean functional furniture. Service, quality, value, convenience. Functional furniture. The furniture store you thought you'd never find.